Hey, welcome to another episode of Seasonal Slumpbusters. I'm Jeff Harrison and my co-host
Andrew McCauley.
Andrew, it's been an exciting week.
It's been a big week.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, I've been doing a lot of actually research and learning this week. I'm looking into the way the businesses are shifting. You know, we talk about content creation, people building content for their business, but what's really happening out there is that a lot of businesses are really unrealizing this, is that they're becoming media platform, media agencies.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about, you know, you create videos for yourself, you create podcasts, you create magazines, blog posts, all that sort of stuff. What you're really essentially doing is building your own media empire. And I think the ones that are doing that now are going to be the ones that really are successful down the track. And so I've been looking a lot into that sort of thing over the last couple of weeks, actually. It's been really interesting to see what's going on.
How exciting, because, you know, it's funny you mention that, because about, I guess, Amy and I, probably maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, we had this aha moment, because we were in the same position. We create thousands of videos for clients and for ourselves, and realized we don't just make videos, we're really a media company. And it seemed like there was this major shift mentally when all of a sudden it's like, wow, yeah, we're really a media company, and it's a wild, wild west. I mean, the internet is, we have our own video channels. I mean, we own swingpointmedia.tv. So what have you found out about that? What kind of shifts have you felt?
I'll tell you what's happening with us. We sort of discovered this about 2 years ago. We've been doing a podcast now for just on 2 years. We've just gone through episode number 70. We're doing a magazine that's online, and we're doing, actually we're doing 2 podcasts. We're doing Make It Simple TV as well, which you've been a guest on.
Yep.
And then, of course, we're doing this one, and we're doing some stuff on Sunrise Business Mastermind as well. So we're doing a lot of content. And what I'm finding recently is people now starting to find that content. It's taken a little time to get there, but now I've got people reaching out. You know, I was featured in a book this week. Some guy reaches out and he says, "Hey, I love the article you did, or this particular piece you did on another show when you were doing some information, because I've decided to put you in my book." So I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. So now I'm featured in an Amazon book.
How good is that? Same
day, another guy comes along and says, "Hey, your YouTube channel, which is a media platform in itself, we've put this in the top 25 social media YouTube channels that we've liked. And this is up there with some of the best ones that I like to look at." And I'm like, well, that's pretty good. I better pull my finger out and do some more good content. But that's the sort of thing that's happening. I'm getting people finding me through other methods, and it's all because of this different media that we're creating that really is driving that traffic to my site and my business as well.
Well, you know, on that same note, one thing we notice is it allows our potential customers, our audience, who maybe had no idea what we do, they get a chance to know what we're doing and see us as people kind of going through some of the same struggles they might have been doing, and really then making a decision. Hey, I'm going to reach out and call Andrew, I'm going to call Jeff, I'm going to call Amy, because they can answer the questions we've been struggling with and take our business next level with one phone call.
Yeah. Now, it's not just media platforms that we're creating ourselves. You know, we've also been asked to go on all sorts of different shows, whether it's real radio shows. I'm doing a webinar in Russian.
Are you?
In a couple of weeks. I've done this a few times, actually. It's awesome. I have to say a sentence and then pause, and then they translate, and then I do it more. So it's all about social media, but it's about me getting my name out there into as many markets as I can.
I think that's
and if the Russians want it, I'll give it to them.
Give it to the Russians. So should I call you my cosmonaut?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes.
How exciting. Well, that's fun.
So tell us what's been going with you. What's been busy around your week this week?
Well, a couple of good things. One is just a little update on our program we're working on, our summer program called the Golf Showcase. We're now putting together more of a I'm going to say an introductory video that we're going to send to all our potential clients, because we're kind of up against a time frame where we have about 45 days to produce 39 videos, 39 episodes, if you will, for the fall. And so we're excited about that. Probably the biggest thing, Andrew, is how much of a positive impact it's having on those facilities right away. I mean, here's golf courses or that maybe were lost in the environment. I mean, we're unique out here in the desert where there's over 100 golf courses in the desert, and if you're not showing up, you're not getting the business you deserve. And if you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you're not even getting the same thing you've always gotten. So it's exciting to say all of a sudden, here is somebody that in the first 8 pages you couldn't even find them, and now they're on page 1.
First page, 8 pages of Google.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting. So we're working on that, and that's going to be our summer project, and it's a lot of fun.
Now, speaking of golf projects, there's another one that's coming up. Let's tell it, and it's got to do with Slumpbusters.
Absolutely.
Well.
So it's really designed for us to reach out to the golf community, because as someone, Amy and I probably combined have over, because Amy's been a lot longer than I have, probably 50 years, no, I'm just kidding, probably a total combined of 50 years in the golf business at all levels, from golf professionals to running the shop to being director of sales and marketing, those kind of things. So we know pretty firsthand that as a whole, their skill sets for social media and video and things like that are probably not what they really need to be superior in their business and their market. So we're going to reach out and say, hey, we're going to start providing that education. And so tell us, what in that medium, what are you going to be talking about? What can you help them with?
I mean, a lot of it's social media. It's like, how do I get traffic and eyeballs to my venue, whether it's a venue, whether it's a website, whether it's a membership page and that sort of thing. So how do I get eyeballs to it? What do I need to do? And then what sort of information can I relate to my current members so that I'm always at the forefront of their thoughts? A lot of these golf clubs, as you said, have a transient crowd between high season and low season. And you want to make sure that the people that do come back next season remember who you are and join up again. Or some of them, I'm guessing, would say, you know what, we've got so much choice here, maybe I'll go down to the other one this year and just see what they're like. And you want to even stop that thought before we get there.
Yeah.
Now, before we even go one more step further, talk about golfing. How good are you? Have you ever hit a hole in one?
I've had a pretty good share, yes.
Had a good share. So this is Mr. Jeff, who doesn't want to tell you how good he is, but I did ask him that one question. His answer floored me. Go and tell him.
I've had 8 hole-in-ones.
8 hole-in-ones, and I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing.
That's just pure numbers.
I'm speechless. But anyway, apart from that.
Anyway.
Did
you say par?
Apart from that, let's move on to the next hole.
All right.
We have a BSO. What's our BSO? BSO stands for?
Bright shiny object.
Bright shiny object. What is it for this one?
It's common to call it an anti-bright shiny object, because I know I'm not the only one that faces this challenge of feeling like you're overwhelmed with social media and all the pieces, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, whatever, that you have to stay up with, and then it's like video and this content and all of a sudden you're just going, God, I'm not getting anything done because I'm spread so thin. And I want to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to go back in history. I'm just going to pull up some stuff here, and I want to start out by using more of the Socratic method of asking a question. And many years ago, I was involved in a program, and it was a 7-day, very intense program. The whole thing was about asking better questions. Because when you ask good questions, you get good answers. You ask poor questions, you get poor answers. And so I want to start out by saying, hey, the bright shiny object today is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And by that, I want you to imagine the domino effect. And you could have thousands of dominoes behind that first one, but if you do the first one right, there's a lot less effort it takes to knock the last one down. And so I want to refer back to a guy that most people know. His name is Andrew Carnegie. He lived back in a time when a dollar was worth $1.50. And at that point, he was the second richest man on the planet. And he had a saying that said, hey, and actually he preached this. He said, put all your eggs in one basket and then guard that basket. And so many people, and I'm just as bad, I've gotten caught up in it at times, is I'm trying to do too many things. And he goes on to say, if you try to carry too many baskets of eggs, you're going to drop the baskets. You're going to end up with fewer eggs than when you started out. Instead of guarding that. And he made very many points, Andrew, of saying, look at the people who are incredibly successful, and you can always point them and say they did one thing. And they did one thing very, very well until they became very successful. Then they took something else on. And it's so easy in today's climate to say, you know what, well, I'm good at I want to get good at Facebook before you should be good at Instagram and Pinterest. And next thing you know, you're not doing any of them any justice, and you're just failing on many fronts.
Right.
And that emotionally is very, very challenging. So the one thing I want you to think about is, I want you to dig deep and say, what's the one thing that you can be doing in your industry that can make that difference? That you said, hey, you know what, if I do this every day, it's going to make a massive difference in my business without doing all those other things. Like as an example, let's just go on the social media side. And let's say, for instance, if I look out and say, you know what, instead of me doing all the social media, maybe my ideal client is only hanging out on LinkedIn. So my only goal is to talk to the people on LinkedIn, and those others take care of themselves. And I respond back and forth, but most of my activity is really focused on LinkedIn because that's where it lies. And all of a sudden I notice that the overwhelm goes down because I don't feel like I've got to do all these things. And I can focus on just doing one thing. So today is really more of asking great questions so you can get great answers. And while I'm going to encourage you to play big, but I want you to do it by getting small. Focus in on one thing and then get really, really good at it. So that's the BSO for today.
What's the one thing you're doing this week? You want to share that with everybody? Or last week?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, the one thing was moving forward with our golf show. Because it's such a big project, but by focusing down very, very tight, we're gonna blow that out of the water. So instead of doing a lot of different things, just one thing, that's ours.
Great.
How about yours?
I love it. We actually went through this process probably just before Christmas. We were doing a lot of different things. We had magazines and expo. We had all sorts of angles to our business, and we brought on a business manager at the time, and we said, you know what? She said, well, what are you doing? What are all these things? What's giving you the best bang for your buck? And we're like, well, not really. They're all nice to do's, but they're not giving us as much result as we want. So we canned all that. We haven't completely got rid of it, but we just put it on the shelf to say we'll come back to it when we have time, and the other things are all done and they're ticking over and systematized. Then we'll come back. So we've been focusing on a lot of that sort of stuff. The one thing that we've been doing in the last week was our 90-day plan. That was important for us to make sure that we're all clear, not just Heather, my business partner, not just both of us, but also the rest of our staff as well.
Yeah, that makes a difference. Well, speaking of the one thing, we have a guest today that I'm really, really excited to hear his responses to the questions, because he works for a company here in the desert that's been around for many, many years. I don't want to say Scott is really old, but he's been in the desert for a long time doing what he's doing, and he's been through season, off-season, season for many years, very many cycles, and I'm excited to hear what our guest has to say. He's been with him for about 6 months, but he's been in the media business for quite some time, and we're gonna talk to him about that. What's his name?
Casey Dolan is his name.
Casey.
So we're going to bring him on. You go and let us know about Swing Point Media while we bring Casey on.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So Swing Point Media is designed to help businesses get found on the internet through the use of video and video marketing. We do that by creating a video from the ground up that people are looking for to solve problems that your ideal clients have. So when they're looking, they'll be finding you. You're like the Band-Aid for their cut, their bleeding. And again, we do that through the use of video. And our company is called swingpointmedia.tv.
All right, here we are. Welcome, Casey, to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you on the show.
I'm glad I could come on polo shirt.
Yeah, no, it's polo shirt.
We sent everybody an email.
You know what? I really like polo shirts because they're the easiest to iron. Which
Right.
means I don't have to iron them. Hate ironing. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You've been working. Give us a quick rundown of what Kiner is, what they do, and then what's your role there at Kiner.
Kiner Communications is a full-service advertising agency, and marketing agency. And there's so many different factors nowadays, as you've discussed here already today, that can go into marketing. So basically, whatever your business might be looking for, we can help them find it and help them to achieve the goals that they're looking at, whether it be traditional advertising, online marketing, event marketing. Basically, we have a pretty good staff that has experience in all of these factors. And so what your goals are, we'll help you get to them.
Excellent. Now, Kiner Communications have been working with some pretty prominent clients throughout their lifetime. I'm not sure if you're allowed to tell us. I guess you are. It's on. I've seen it on your website. Who are some of these famous clients you've been working with?
Well, we represent clients big and small, and they're all very important to us. Fantasy Springs Casino, Pete Carlson's Golf and Tennis. I can name a lot more. The thing is most of our clients we've had for a long time. And
Right.
We're happy. We're most proud of that. In that, in an ad agency, you'll see a lot of times a big turnover, and that's because they might come in and try to do things that maybe shouldn't be done.
Right.
Whereas we're looking at making sure that the client's successful, and it's been a good relationship so far.
Excellent. So Casey, give us a little bit of rundown about personally. We were having a bit of a chat off air about where you grew up, and I thought it was a very interesting place to grow up because it also is a very seasonal place. Give us a rundown of what you did up there, where you grew up and what you did, and what it's like to live life in that sort of area.
I grew up in Big Bear Lake, California, just a stone's throw away from Palm Springs. And I grew up, it's funny because we're talking about seasons and slumps. I grew up in the opposite of the desert, whereas summers would be fantastic in the mountains because everyone wants to go and cool off. Whereas here in the desert, of course, it's 120 degrees and no one wants to go outside. But yeah, you want to talk about a great life growing up. After school, going hiking, going water skiing, going snow skiing. I mean, just a blast.
Awesome. So what did you do? You finished school up there. You went and worked, actually. You were telling me you worked in media for a very early age.
I walked into a radio station. I knew I wanted to work in radio when I was 15. And I walked into the radio station and said, hey, I'd like to be on the air. And the gentleman who owned the station, a man by the name of Vern, he said, well, we'd love to have you work here. Do you have any experience with cats? And I said, okay, I don't know how kitty cats have anything to do with radio. Well, I found out that they had a station cat, and that my first paid job in radio would be to clean the cat box.
Wow.
So yeah, I learned from an early age that there are some things in media that involve cat boxes.
That's funny. I'm glad there's no video for that one, right?
Not that I'm aware of, but who knows?
So, as somebody who works with a seasonal business all year round, what are some of the stumbling blocks that you've seen businesses face during those sort of seasons?
Well, when it comes to seasons, obviously, you say stumbling block, a lot of people are going to think, well, revenues are down. Here in the Coachella Valley, you say, oh, it's July, it's August, revenues are down. And for me, I think you don't really look at that as a stumbling block. You look at it as almost an opportunity of, when things are going great, when it's the height of the season, you're running around and you can't get everything done. Well, you've got yourself a little bit of a breather now, where you don't have to worry about customers nonstop every day, where you can organize, where you can get your staff trained better, where you can take care of your marketing needs, where you can service your customers. You have a little bit of time now to get organized and do that before the next season comes in.
Great point. What would you say would be the most important thing you think that if you had a list of those in a particular order, what would be the most important thing that you think they should concentrate on first?
It's funny just to have one because there's a lot of important factors, but one that I believe personally in is when you're talking about a town that's seasonal, especially a resort town like we're in, is the locals are not just people that are going to be around to give you business all year, but they can be your biggest advocates. When the season is at its highest point, when people are coming in and out of town, when you travel, I don't know about you, but I ask the locals, hey, where's a good place to eat?
Right.
Because I've had too many experiences where I look at a brochure and they say this is the best place to eat, and I go there and I find out it's a tourist trap. So I ask the locals.
Right.
So when it's the slower time of year, bring the locals in. Maybe give them a little bit of a discount. Find interesting ways to bring them in. And that way, when it's the height of the season, they'll tell your customers to come in. They'll be your biggest advocate.
Great, I love it. Now, can you give us a specific example, whether it's been at Kiner Communications or somewhere else in your working life, where you've been able to help a seasonal business, and what sort of results were you able to help them with?
There's been several. One that comes to mind is, there's a million golf courses in town, and we've had the pleasure to work with a few of them. And of course, when it's 120 degrees, maybe not everyone's in the mood to go and play some golf.
Can't understand why, but yeah.
There are people elsewhere that are thinking about playing golf, and they're going to be thinking about playing golf in the future. So you can use this time to start sending out your emails, to start sending out notices on social media, your content, to start getting people thinking about booking 2 months from now when it's going to be cooler. Right. You can start planning that, getting people coming through the door, even though it's going to be a couple months until the reservations come. You're going to have your reservations all lined up and ready to go.
Awesome. What's a business philosophy that you like to live by?
Yeah.
It's a question without warning everybody. I haven't told him this, so I'm going to chuck it at him.
I think what I've learned is when I was a much younger person, I knew that I knew it all. And that everyone else was doing it wrong. And as you get older, you realize that you really don't know much at all, and that you can learn a lot from a lot of other people. And so when someone gives you an idea, no matter how it might be, no matter how crazy you might think it is at first, just sit on it a second. There might be something there. Maybe the idea as a whole won't be great, but there might be part of it there that inspires you to do something that's going to be great.
Love it, love it. What about a business lesson that you've learned? What's the best one that you've learned for yourself?
Don't be afraid to fail, because without failure there can't be great success. I think too many times, and you know, it's happened to all of us, it's happened to me, where you look at an opportunity and you're afraid to fail, and so you just don't do it. And you talk to all the great leaders, all great business people, they've failed many, many times, and the best lessons you're going to learn are from your failures.
Do failures hurt you, do you think?
Of course failures hurt. Who wants to fail? Nobody wants to fail.
So let's talk about a couple of things like business books. Do you read a lot of business books, or how do you get your education around business?
You know, it varies. Obviously, nowadays with the internet, you can find great articles all the time on various topics. But as far as books are concerned, love good business books. One of my favorites authors would be Malcolm Gladwell, who's written Outliers. I think his latest was David and Goliath. Tipping Point. And I just love his books because it gets you to think differently. And I think that, you know, whether it be schooling or just you get in the glut of business, you start thinking that everything needs to be done one way.
Right. Yep.
And they really kind of get you to open up your mind and start thinking about life and business differently.
Great. Now, before we wrap up, I want to ask you one question.
How many holes in one have I had?
How many
Nine. I've had 9.
You've had 9 holes in one. There you go, Jeff.
Yes.
He's beaten you. I found someone better than you, Jeff. He's watching 9 holes in one.
I'm sorry, your last question was?
Completely gone now. My last question was, I've completely lost it. That 9 holes just throw me out the door. I've just lost it. If you were going to give some advice to somebody today that were starting up a business in a seasonal area, now it doesn't matter whether it's the desert here with golf or it's a beach somewhere else, what would be the one thing, going back to Jeff's one thing today, that you think they should concentrate on when they start thinking about that business, and why?
You know, I think I'll go back to what I said just a couple minutes ago, is just don't be afraid to fail. You know, as you start your business, you're going to find things that work for you and you're going to find things that don't work for you. So as you go along, you know what, learn from your failures, don't repeat them, and just, you know, the more that you fail, the more you're going to learn, the better you're going to be.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, how can people find out more about you and Kiner Communications? What's the best way to find that out?
The best way is just right now, and do this right now. You can go online to kinercom.com, and you'll find my picture there, and we can chat about business or baseball or whiskey, whatever you might want to chat about. Love to hear from you.
Kinercom.com.
Correct.
All right. Well, Casey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much
Thanks for having me.
joining us.
I'm going to go hit a hole in one.
Go to do another one. Off you go. All right. So, let me give you a quick rundown of Autopilot Your Business. Autopilot Your Business is a full-service digital media agency, almost like Kiner, but we do a little bit differently. If you're looking to get online, you want to create products, you want to create podcasts, videos, magazines, all that sort of stuff, we do a lot of that for you. You be the brains of it, and we'll put it all together. So that's autopilotyourbusiness.com. Check us out. Come and see us.
That was good.
All right.
I like what Casey had to say.
I know he hits 9 holes in one.
Did he say none or 9?
9. I think he said 9.
I think he said 9.
99. I hit 99.
He's just been on practice a few
I
more.
thought he'd left the station.
I should have asked him if it was putt-putt golf or not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm glad you didn't ask me that.
So what'd you take away? Did you, I know you were paying attention and writing notes there. Did you get some good nuggets from Casey there?
A couple of good things that I really liked. One is, and this is something that I've heard several times now from guests, whether it's from the Wharton Business School, we've had with Steve Lawrence in the past, or today, was locals. Take care of your locals. And the one thing I liked that Casey had a little different twist on that locals, of not just take care of them, but they're really an advocate. They almost become like your sales force out there. When people say, hey, where do you go? Well, if you're taking care of them year round, they become kind of your word of mouth team out there. So I really like that.
It was good, actually. It was good to hear that, because you know we talk about, we've had some other guests that said take care of your locals, which is a great idea. But yeah, use them as a billboard that they can be, and especially if you've got raving fans, they like telling people about that sort of stuff. So it's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the other one I thought that was really neat, and I think sometimes, again, I'm going to go back in the golf business, because I was in the golf business for probably almost 30 years. And in the off season, it was kind of like, okay, we worked really hard and now we're just taking a break and we're closing at noon or we're closing at 1 and we're just kind of just taking a breather. I like what he said on there about priming the pump, of saying, hey, this is a good time to kind of now, not double down, but really take a look at, do I have a really strong email follow-up system? Do I have a really strong booking program? Am I starting to ask these people to book now? And I'm encouraging that. And I really like that of booking now for the future, 2 or 3 weeks, because even though it's 109 out today here, we're may not thinking about playing golf, but somebody's thinking about playing golf. Just like, my wife and I are taking a trip to Costa Rica, and we're already thinking about that. Well, maybe the people in Costa Rica aren't thinking about going to the beach, but I'm thinking about going to the beach right now. So I thought that was very good. So to be proactive versus reactive and say, oh my God, we don't have anybody on the books. So saying, hey, we're booked up for the next 2 months. So I like that.
Right.
I think the other thing that I really liked was his continued learning, and more than anything, of not quickly judging and say, hey, that won't work. That won't work. That doesn't work for our business. Instead of saying, you know what, hey, let's just set with it.
Yeah, that's good.
It's almost like, hey, let's sleep on this and see how it works out. So those are the kind of takeaways I really like.
I guess as a business owner, you've got to continually learn. Well, I just take it for granted. I mean, you and I are always sending stuff to each other, say, hey, check this out, go and read this, and well, I guess our industry is changing so often, but even if it's not, I'm reading stuff, not just social media stuff, I'm reading marketing principles that as you said, you talk about Andrew Carnegie, who was 100 years ago or whatever he was, the principles from some of that stuff I still read and look at and love every day, so Think and Grow Rich comes to mind, that sort of stuff, I'm still reading that. So there are principles that you can read every day that are not specifically out of date. So I'm thinking that continued learning is very important for people. Totally. And if you're not doing it, then I think you're getting stale and you could fall flat on your face.
Yeah, I think you can become very, I'm going to say the word, and it's probably going to get some people comment on this. I think it's ignorant, because you're resistant to an opportunity. You say, that's never going to work for me. But yet, if it worked for somebody else, it's almost like saying, you know what, okay, it works for you because you have electricity. I don't have electricity. No, that's not true. Electricity is available to all of us. Just because I don't know that, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So, yeah, that's good points.
I think the 3 words, the most dangerous words around is, I know that. And that kills a lot of ambition. It kills a lot of people's dreams because they're not open to learning something new.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him being in here and some good stuff. And, he's just down the hall from us, and it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think that's almost a wrap as we come to the hour. Give us a quick rundown of SCORE. We have talked a little bit about SCORE and how SCORE can help you as a business owner if you are looking for some advice and mentorship.
Yeah, they're a group of nationwide of about 13,000 volunteers who have already been very, very successful in their world, in their business, and now they're giving back through an organization called SCORE. It's funded by the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and their whole goal is to say, hey, we're going to help entrepreneurs or businesses that are already existing get in, maybe be more successful or start their business. And you can come in and talk to them about, hey, how to write a business plan from the get-go. I've got an idea, what do you think of it? All the way to, I need to liquidate my business, I need to get out of it. Everything in between you can imagine, they have that resource right here. And the cool part about that, Andrew, is when you come in, you go through an interview, and there's 2 or 3 of them in the office at the same time, and they're really digging deep about finding out what you want to do, and then making sure they match you up with the person that's going to give you the best results. That's exciting. So they're available here. There's 42 of them here at our location here in the Coachella Valley. Like I said, 13,000 around the country. So if for some reason, some odd reason, you can't get an answer from someone here, there's not that perfect match, they'll just get on the phone and get somebody and do an internet chat or whatever it takes, and they'll guide you through the process to your success.
And the interview is not a judgmental interview where they're like really picking the eyes out of your business. They're just there for information gathering so that they can find out who is the best person suited to your needs of your business.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to find out, how can people find out about our special golf program we were talking about earlier today?
How can they find out about it?
How can they find out? What's the best email? Can they email you at
yes.
Special Golf?
Yes.
I get 8holesin1.com or something.
Well, now I gotta figure something else out. I'm one down. I gotta get some balls. No, it's at igolf010 at gmail.com. That's the letter I, golf, GOLF, 010@gmail.com, and you can send an email there and say, hey, I just want to know about the program. We'll send you some information. It should be live, I'd say, in the next 24 hours with a landing page and all the information on it. We'd love to get you involved and help you through that.
Absolutely. Well, another great show. Thank you very much. Thank you, Casey, for popping by. Next week we have a very surprised guest. We also have a surprise guest. So surprising, I don't even know who it is. Do you know who it is?
Yeah, we have a gentleman where it looks like his name is Dean. He has a company here that really, it's very interesting because his business is seasonal, but he's learned how to make it incredibly successul in all parts of the year.
Awesome.
So we're looking forward to that.
So I'm going to show you live examples of how you can do this.
That's it.
Looking forward to it. Okay.
Andrew, thank you so much. It was
Thank you,
a
Jeff.
great program.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Ciao for now.